Well, hello, Gaston County. Welcome to, shockingly, episode number 157 of Gaston's Great, a podcast highlighting some of the great things happening in and around Gaston County. I'm your host, Stephen Longley. We're coming to you once again this week from the intergalactic headquarters of GSM Services right here in downtown Gastonia. We have another great guest today. I'm very happy to have Steve DeAveria on the podcast today, who is the Senior Vice President of the Gaston Business Association. However, that's only a small part of the reason why we asked Steve to come on today. And I'm really looking forward to hearing about his leadership and community journey. Steve, it's great to have you on, and actually welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you, Stephen. It's only been 140-something episodes.
Yes, when I looked it up, I was shocked, like we talked about before we started recording, that was episode number 9, 4 years ago. So I'm not sure what's more surprising, that you decided to come back or that we've actually had this many episodes since then. So
well, congrats.
So, well, I appreciate that greatly. And we're going to do something similar, apparently, that we did on that episode. So, for those of you who might not know you, if you're involved in the community at all, I'm pretty sure people know who Steve DeAveria are. But if you don't mind, just share a little bit about yourself, and then we'll kind of get into some questions about your personal and professional leadership and community journey.
Okay. Well, first of all, I am a proud dad and husband first. We'll talk a little bit about the kids and wife, but professionally I serve as the Senior Vice President, which is the Gaston Business Association. So it's your regional chamber of commerce that merged 4 years ago when we probably had that first
because you and Pat were on.
Yes, and so currently really focused on operations there at the organization, downtown development, which we'll talk a little bit more about downtown Gastonia and the work that we're doing at the GBA, coordinating leadership Gaston, just a program I've been really passionate about. But also just I'm the communications Q, which is what they call for F3 Gastonia. So I've been taking a shared leadership role there the last 2 years and have been honored to be a part of that group. It's really made a big impact on my life. Proud Notre Dame alum, but now a North Carolina State dad.
That's what I'm talking about.
We'll see here come this fall when they're playing each other, kind of where the allegiance is.
So what are you going to do?
Well, I'll watch it.
And then just... You gotta.
Do my best.
I get it.
I'll do my best.
Yeah, I know.
It's okay.
I get it because I'm children at 3 different universities, and so anyway, it's. Let me just tell you, it'll be interesting and fun. Actually, it's great. Actually,
so outside of that, I get really into being a movie and television extra. So we got 2 things coming up. The pipeline. One thing on Netflix that starts in July, and another movie that'll be out around Christmas time, so maybe we'll touch upon that, and just lots of other things to keep me busy.
Okay.
I don't sit down very well.
Well, good. And listen, and Steve and I have been involved in all kinds of different stuff together. I think I first met you maybe back in your YMCA days, and but gosh, F3 is where I probably see you the most personally. But Gaston together, gosh, there's so many different things and connections that we have made over the years, and I'm grateful and that and appreciate that. So let's kind of we'll talk about a lot of things in a reasonable amount of time, but let's kind of talk about the exact question. I think the way we worded it is, what inspired you to get into your line of work? A better question maybe for you is just what brought you to where you are today. Talk about a little bit of that journey, and this can be both. We're looking for both the personal side, the professional side, anything you want to share there, because we like leadership, community, family, whatever inspires people to get where they are.
Sure, where I am professionally right now. So, my world for the first 17 years of this century was all involved in the Gaston County Family YMCA,
right,
specifically that Central YMCA, the South Gaston Y programs, every bit of it. And I really wasn't looking for anything new outside of knowing that we were going to be moving branches, raised that money, had that opportunity. And on the same property as the Central Y, I had noticed that there had been a lot of leadership changes for many, many years and all. Some great people, and they've gone on to do some great things, but many of them were not there very long. Right. And it sounded like the challenge was that they were very into the Chamber of Commerce world, but didn't know the community world. And some of the board members there during that next transition approached me and said, hey, we know you don't know anything about the Chamber, but you do know something about the community. And I listened. I learned. I said, hey, this is, in a way, it's like programs and membership and people and relationships and community,
Right,
and
yeah.
not a swimming pool to deal with or worry about at 5 a.m. Let's give this a shot. So they entrusted me and served as the CEO there for the 4 years that we were still the Gaston Regional Chamber, and then it's just been a great partnership as the GBA, and that just continues to this day. But that's where the professional transition came, and I could talk about that 20-year-old self in a bit.
Oh, okay. So I'm doing my math right. Is it been 8 years at the Chamber GBA?
2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Like so many things, right? time just flies by.
Yeah.
Right. You're laughing at because I can't think of the word to say there.
Time flies, yes.
Gee whiz.
It's a new thing.
Just wait. Just wait, Rachel. So let's talk about leadership lessons. Let's talk about just leadership, why leadership in the community, leadership GBA, leadership in F3, leadership as a father, right?
Mhm.
There's so many, I know there's so many lessons I've learned along the way, even though you're a little younger than I am.
Not much.
Just talk about that. How do you view leadership? What are the lessons you've learned? How do you view leadership in general?
Sure. One of the questions that you guys asked about is just the best leadership advice that's ever given, and
Absolutely,
I've heard it amongst a couple people. One of them is just a true mentor to me, especially in my professional development a couple years ago. But what I heard from them was the quote, "Preach the gospel at all times. If necessary, use words." And they've credited that to St. Francis of Assisi. But it's really stuck with me because it's one thing that, lip service is one thing, and you can talk the talk, but can you truly walk the walk? And can you make that impact in your actions and your deeds and your examples that you're setting, and not just the words you say or the words you type on paper and get out there on other things. So I feel like that's still has been one of the best set of advice that's been around for quite a while.
On that journey, especially being having 3 kids like I do, have you found like I have that the kids are paying attention more what you're doing, to your point about actions, and what you're saying?
Yeah, and I have a great partner with Dr. Kathleen D'Avria there.
Sure.
Because I think that we really work well as parents, and there's a lot of things that I can do and show and showcase and be a part of, and she's the expert in the other areas that whether they listen to her or not, I think that we present ourselves with a good balance. And I'm hoping that the deeds and the things that I'm doing, the things they're watching, are more of an impact than either what I'm saying or what I'm not potentially saying.
Yeah, I think that was just, for me, that was a great, I don't know, scary is the right word, but that realization of, oh yeah, that's me when I was 12.
Yeah.
Maybe I can do better. Maybe I can do something different. So, how about community? Right, to me, when I will admit, when I think of community, if there's 8 or 10 people that come to mind, you're one of them. In general, when I just hear that word and that phrase, so how does obviously YMCA and GBA seems for me being involved in the community for so long, those two things seem obvious how community ties in, but it might not to our listener or somebody who doesn't know you or might not be familiar with the GBA and the YMCA. So, can you share how does community a part of that? And,
sure.
And how do you view that?
It's almost 24/7, and I've embraced that, and I've said this is who I'm going to be. But when I start talking about Gastonia and start talking about Gaston County, I get so excited, and I'm almost just a salesperson for Gaston. And then when people say why, I say, well, I'll say that I'm being a little selfish, because right now I live in Gastonia, live 10 minutes away from work. I work in Gastonia. My wife works in Gastonia. We mention that. She's going to be the principal of Southwest Middle School, but she was at Forest View High School in Gastonia before that. She's worked at the central office here. We have 3 kids that they all go to school here in Gaston County. We go to church in Belmont. We do everything. If I go across that river in one way, it's great because I don't know anybody, and nobody really knows me, but I don't feel like I have an impact or an influence there, which is fine. But once I'm in Gaston County, it's on. So I would say the light switch turns on, but that's just what I've lived. And I say I take it selfishly because I want my kids to go away to college, meet a nice person, have a family, even maybe live in another big city. But I would love for them, kind of like yours, to come back.
Yeah.
And that's the idea, is be selfish enough to have enough great things happening in Gaston County that they want to return, hopefully to visit, but even more important, if they moved back in this area, that's great. So that's kind of the ultimate selfish goal I've got.
Yeah. Well, I think you're kind of like me. I'm just a total homer for Gaston County, and I've seen. I don't know. I think I'd say the last 10 or 15 years. When did you first come to Gaston County?
May of 2001.
Okay, so you're practically. Matter of fact, that was when year I joined Rotary. That's 2001. I mean, most people associate 2001 with something else,
Sure.
but I try to associate it with what's going on in Gaston County if we can. So you've been here long enough to be acclimated into everything about Gaston County. But somewhere in the last 10 to 15 years, it seems like I don't know what we've done, people like you, a lot of the stuff the GBA's done, but gosh, it's just I see more progress. I see a different attitude. I see a different outlook. It's kind of gone from we can't have that here to why not us. It's kind of how I view that.
A great example. So we've been doing this work with downtown Gastonia since last March, and it used to be a once a month we'd have this caffeine and conversation. It was a big pep rally. People enjoyed it. We tried to keep things positive. We ran this Facebook page called Positive Change for Downtown Gastonia that we really just adopted and made it our own. And just in the past month, we've broken up all those committed folks into one of 4 different groups and had no more than 10. We've intentionally asked nobody from the city of Gastonia that works there or is an elected official to be a part of it. And it's really a table like this. It's a 2-pizza group, and we meet for an hour and 15 minutes once a month. And yesterday, I met with 10 very inspiring folks that are in our storytelling group. It's just called Storytelling and Visitor Experience, and it's everything from Michael Carpenter of the Rooster to Trip from Downstairs Ice Cream to Melanie with the Wandering Cup, and Beth Catlin, who's a musician. And they're going around. A couple people are from here, but a lot of them aren't. Okay. And they were so excited, so inspired of just getting the great things that are happening out there that they've named a face to the group. They've said, guess what? Let's just stop calling it Positive Change for Downtown Gastonia because we feel like we're hitting the positive change part, and let's get a new brand so that we're not going to say and apologize for not being good and this is the change to get us to be good. Let's say we're good now and let's start doing it. And just the enthusiasm, the excitement, they created this group me. They were texting each other at 10 o'clock last night and again this morning. And I know that people will, they've got other things to do.
Oh,
and,
sure.
But just the excitement, the motivation, and at no point did they mention back in the 90s or back in the 80s or this is what used to be. It was all just forward looking and
where
we're going. Yeah. And some have no idea. One girl moved from Belmont a year ago and moved to Gastonia, and she doesn't know any different. And that's fantastic.
Oh yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point that's one of the reason my license plate says Ford.
Yep.
I get questions all the time about what does that exactly mean? I love when I get asked that question.
What does it exactly mean?
Basically it's just that classic, learn from the past, don't live in it. What's next? Matter of fact, what's next is our theme here at GSM this year. But so just always looking ahead is because I know something would happen or I would make some dumb mistake or next thing you know, I'm 6 months later, I'm still thinking about it or whatever.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And just learn from it and move on. So that's that's the basic, story behind that. And making it visual, it just reminds me all the time. Right. So
it's your license plate and I see you there at the, with the red car.
Yeah. So, okay, we talked about a lot of things here. We're going to give you, if you're seeing this on YouTube, you can see we got a little bucket here with some, a bowl here, with some ice cream in it that we're going to make Rachel try every single one of them. But before we do that, kind of sticking with the same concept of all the things you've been involved with, anything stand out, especially since your time here in the last 24 years? See, I can do math. Thank you. Something stands out you're most proud of. Something that, just anything. I like hearing those stories because somebody might hear something that might inspire them.
Sure. And I think it's back to kind of preaching the gospel and not using words. It's really inspiring of seeing, especially with my two oldest kids, one graduating at Highland, one starting Highland, and the activities and the programs that they're involved in and where that was like 20 years ago. So, it's one thing to do Girls on the Run that I got to be the board chair for, but it's another thing to serve on Teens Changing Gaston County. And we developed that program, the Y and the Community Foundation, and we took it nationwide. We spoke in 2 countries and 10 different cities about philanthropic programs. And the fact that my son did it for 4 years and my daughter is going to apply for it, and I didn't really even talk about it, or being part of the mayor's youth program, or going to YMCA Leader School up in Black Mountain this summer. That's just amazing to me that they're not getting pushed. I mean, I'm sure I'm encouraging here and there, but that they're doing it and that their friends are involved in programs like Teens Westward Bound, and just the impact that those programs have made on my kids and they made on me as a younger person is just really neat, very full circle and very satisfying to know that maybe I did have a little part in that, but even if I didn't, I saw what kind of success it made them.
I know that there probably weren't the same programs around when I was our kids' age, but even if there were, I'm not sure I would have been thinking on that level, and so that getting that exposure. So, I would argue that they are watching what you're doing and things you're involved with and things that your wife is involved with. And so I do think that sometimes we get caught up on exterior organizations and people that were on the business side, and you got to be careful that we don't forget our own kids and those kind of things too, right? It's easy to do that. Does something come to mind? Again, another one of those questions that I'm not very good at formatting these questions, but something that you would say is a key factor in your success to this point, something that you look back and say, wow, that really spurred me on to where I am today.
I think it's been the relationships, but not just the relationships that I've created and connected and stayed with. It was not burning any bridges. And that's a big challenge sometimes. I mean, we may not get along with everybody, but when you burn a bridge, you can really create some tough mends to get those relationships back. And that's whether it's a organization that doesn't get along with another organization, a family that doesn't get along with a family, a neighbor. And I've really tried my best to, even if I don't agree with everything they said, or even if it's like I'm just going to ignore a little bit at this point, but not to burn bridges. Gaston County, it might be big. I mean, I think we're at we were at 85,200 and something as a county.
As the county,
it seems pretty big, but it's really, really not in a lot of ways. And I feel like I want to continue those relationships wherever it takes us and all. But for me, not burning those bridges with, I hope, anybody or just about anybody has been a strong contributor to, I feel like, where we are in world.
Does that come from just your experience, or is there some specific way you go about that? Because I think that might be one of those superpowers. If you can, because we're in your position, I assume, because you're hearing from, say, the business community as an example. Everybody's got agenda's not the right word, but there's things they want to accomplish, and the way they want to see things. And you've got, I don't know how many members you have in the GBA, and they're all going to view certain things differently, right?
Sure. Yeah, you get 600 investors, and some of them are true competitors to each other. And how can we at least have some common ground? So, for instance, today we met with the manufacturers at the South Ridge Business Park. Okay. So those are like your Dole and your Delandia and Live and all those groups, and they do have some competition when it comes to workforce development. So we may not just talk about workforce and who's paying a quarter more than the others. We're instead saying, okay, what are your biggest challenges together? We need an urgent care in Bessemer City because we don't want to be driving, this long to get to Caramount. We need that. We have some traffic issues at this stoplight and this stoplight. Okay, let's figure out those things and then let them, if they have to compete for talent, then they compete for talent. And I mean, I even saw that in the healthcare system. Kathleen Boyce with Girls on the Run just did a great job of working with the top leaders at Caramount and the top leaders at Atrium and that was a great model for me to see, experience, and say, hey, we can all play in the same sandbox together and continue to do it to our best of our abilities.
What about, is some of it focusing on the common interest and the common things that we're trying to, accomplish as a whole in the community that can bring so many people together? Because some things are obvious, but some might not be so obvious that companies and individuals and organizations have in mind.
Sure, and it's not Pollyannish. I mean, there's definitely some things that, if people are going to rag on downtown Gastonia on the positive change, we're not a city organization. We can press the ban button, and we do, and that's okay because we want to continue that positive, change there. So I'm not saying it's going to be looking for 100% support on things, but I think it's, again, continuing to find the common ground, and then also knowing when you have an opinion that people might not agree on, there's no point in necessarily typing up and pressing enter. There's a thing you can do, and it's called scrolling. Yeah. Or it's also called hiding, and life goes on, and everything's okay.
Yeah. One of my favorite things is, I was exposed to this through F3, is stoicism.
Yes.
And a big thing from Marcus Aurelius is you don't have to have an opinion about everything.
Mm-hmm. And if you do, you don't have to share it with everybody.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So looking ahead, what's next for you? What's next for the GBA? What do you see next for Gaston County?
Yes.
In the short term and maybe even the long term as well.
Sure. I think two things, personally and professionally. I think professionally, the GBA is now going through a feasibility study for a capital campaign. When people see capital campaign, they think we're going to build a building. That's not the case, but it's a case for 5 years of what the GBA should be doing for the business community. So we have a group out of Atlanta called Power 10. They've interviewed 40 influential business leaders in the community, not necessarily connected to the Gaston Business Association, to understand where are the biggest gaps. Is it returning this Gaston Outside marketing campaign where we, encourage visitors, residents, the like to know about Gaston County? Do we need to have a Go 2.0? Is it the workforce development or projects there? Is it bringing a secondary education to Gastonia instead of on those outskirts? We're going to get those answers, at least the short end of those answers here in a month, and then we'll know what our marching orders are for 5 years.
Okay.
So that's exciting because sometimes I'm not necessarily the visionary, I'm the executor. Someone can have the vision, and if I agree with the vision, then I'm all in. Let's do it. Let's start right now or tomorrow. And I think that's also what a good balance Pat and I have, because he's definitely a visionary, a strategic thinker, and then I'll go ahead and knock it out and get that going there. For me, personally, one going off to college to NC State and trying to be a part of that
it's a big change.
Community. It is, but it's an exciting change. And, with two more kids, we'll still be busy. But with my wife taking on a school as a principal and with Southwest Middle School being there, I'm excited to help support her, be a cheerleader, be on the background. But if they need people selling concession stands or, wanding when they're coming through football games, I'll be the first to raise my hand and do that. And there's so many great community members that either went to school at Southwest or have lived in that area or know folks and all that. They're all ready and willing to help, which is exciting. And it's a little different.
Well, before we move on to this
important stuff.
Yeah, the important treat that you brought, is there anything, Steve, I haven't asked that I should have asked? Anything you'd like to share? I mean, we still got a few questions to get through here, but anything that comes to mind?
Ask me the 20-year-old self question.
Well, I'll do that after we do ice cream.
Oh, that's even more important. Okay, let's go to the ice cream then.
All right.
And why are we doing this?
Absolutely.
Okay. So back in episode 9, for all those listeners out there that remember, I had listened to episodes probably 1 through 6 by that point that were recorded, and they always talked about what's your favorite Tony's ice cream, and it's really embarrassing if they'd never had Tony's.
Correct.
When I came for my interview in 2021, I went to Tony's twice and Carowinds once by the Y just to sell me on this place, and to church, but that's a whole other story in itself. So they were really selling me on Tony's. I don't think I had grape for years on end. Finally had it, but I said, look, instead of us telling Pat, our CEO, who's new to the area, for him to say, I've never had Tony's. Let's just bring in some Tony's ice cream. So we've already done that. I support Tony's. It's great.
Yeah.
It doesn't need my recommendation anymore. So what I did do today is we've got some new friends in downtown Gastonia called Downstairs Ice Cream, and they have made an egg carton full of 6 different flavors today. So Tripp and Megan are some great supporters of downtown and beyond.
Very
and
good.
I said, Tripp, okay, bring out 6 flavors. Give me some regular things, give me some monthly specials, and then something else. So he has put this together, and we've got a whole bunch of spoons and a bunch of different flavors. And Stephen has already named his 6th favorite of the 6.
That's true. I guess I should wait and be sure, but I'm just reading
That's
off,
fair.
seeing what's here. That's probably, I'm just guessing.
I think I've only had one of these, maybe 2, but yeah, so I'm excited
All right.
as well.
All right. Who's in charge? You're in charge, GBA.
Okay, so we got to move with this. We've got 6 different flavors here. We probably won't have time to eat all of it. We're going to get a napkin and
luckily
make
we
a
have
mess.
we do
Oh
have
my
napkins.
gosh.
Because I heard that
milk.
Rachel's a messy eater.
Good. Okay. Rachel's going to start each time because I don't have a problem eating behind someone. But okay, so we got to remember one's going to be up top here. So 1, 2, 3,
Okay.
4, 5, 6. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we got one.
We do have napkins there, Steve, and Kathleen's going to be embarrassed by the way you're operating here.
You should see our house.
Is this
We've
how
been
it
out of
normally?
town
Is this,
for a
is
week.
this how it normally is at home?
Yeah, we just take care of it like 5 minutes before she gets home, so it's fine. Okay, so number 1.
All right. Number 1 is cookies and cream.
Cookies and cream. So it's got 2 sets of cookies.
That's pretty good.
This is one of them that I have had.
You didn't know this was going to be so
Oreo and chocolate chip cookie. So it's 2 different cookies
good. Okay.
in the cookies and cream. Second one.
2 is brown butter pecan.
Okay, another regular one. Brown butter pecan. I've not had this one. I want to get Rachel's thought.
Would you like to get your own napkin? You don't have to wipe your sleeve.
Did you try that one? I like it. It's got
Oh, that's
pecan.
good.
Yeah.
You're not going to try that one?
No.
All right.
Okay.
3 is summer strawberry.
And this is a for now flavors. How long? Who knows? Get them while they're here. So this is a seasonal.
So this could be a limited time
could be gone
offer.
by the time you hear this, people.
That's good. All right. 4 is
Ooh, big pieces of strawberry.
This
They don't
is-
do toppings either. They put it
this
all
is-
in,
this
so
is
you don't.
another
yeah.
rotating flavor here, bourbon black cherry.
Okay. So this is for the month of June. They have 4 flavors here.
Oh my. That's unique.
Bourbon black cherry. I like that.
All right, here is
That might be my
chocolate freckled mint.
Your 6th favorite.
I'm going to be begrudgingly try this one.
Who invented the mint chocolate?
Just exactly as I suspected.
Okay, who invented this ice cream flavor?
I have no idea.
Okay.
You know?
I thought you said Satan did.
Oh,
The
well.
flavor itself.
I may have said that. I said
Not this
it may
flavor,
have
but
been,
that chocolate
It may have
mint.
been in the area of the River Styx when somebody decided to mix chocolate and mint together.
It's incorrect. Trip, don't worry about
Orange
it.
creamsicle. Did I read that right? Orange creamsicle. Yes.
Did you try any more?
All right, that's good.
Okay. I'm going with the bourbon black cherry. I'm going to make that as my favorite. And the, what was
So apparently,
2?
Rachel's is
butter
just
pecan.
cookies and cream because that's all she tried. Yeah. Okay, so that's one vote there. I'm going to go with brown butter pecan.
Excellent.
Number 2, brown
Yeah.
butter pecan. Matter of fact, I might just finish it off
Go for
while
it.
we're here.
Go for it. So,
Whiz.
and get the egg carton. They didn't have the egg cartons because they had to buy the eggs at first, and also they were a lot more expensive. But they've got that worked out
right.
there.
So, downstairs ice cream. Where exactly is it on Main Street?
So if you're looking at the new apartment, Center City Apartments, it's directly to the right, and it's to the left of what was formerly Freeman's. That is now going to be an Italian restaurant, owned and run by Chris Davis of the Pita Wheel. And
Okay, I didn't know
then
that.
yeah, then there's going to be a little pizza place where the Cat Cafe was, and my job is to answer those questions as to what's going to happen here, where are we going, and we keep going 2 steps forward and maybe a half a step back every so often. But lots of exciting things. But it's good to have the ice cream shop, the record store now, some retail space, a couple new restaurants, and it's not just positive change now. It might just be
you can keep
Gastonia
talking,
forward and all.
keep talking while I continue
taking.
You can edit this out, right? You can edit all of me taking all this many bites of this ice cream.
So let the folks see it there. I was also honored to be the first one to buy the first pint of ice cream when they opened up on February 13th. It was my wife's birthday, so I thought, on February 3rd, happy birthday. Are you the same age as mine? No, you're not. No, yes, no. So February 13th, I bought the first one. I put the picture of me and Tripp having the first ice cream, and if you go downstairs and you look to the right, there's a big blown up picture of Tripp with the first ice cream, and I have been replaced in the photo with someone else. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So you guys need to go back and say, "Hey, Tripp, who's in the photo instead of me?" And then you'll get to see who. Now it shows.
I'm not even going to eat supper now. Y'all keep talking. I'm good.
No.
Anything to add, Rachel?
Any questions, chocolate? Rachel? Are you from Gastonia?
No, I live in Charlotte.
Okay.
I'm from Huntersville, but I'm in Charlotte.
Okay.
You know what? I don't think I knew that.
I always like people's opinions of Gastonia.
So I've
what
learned
they
that
heard
I learned today that you don't like NC State and you live in Charlotte. That's 2 strikes. That's a 3rd strike. How did you get to be in charge of this? Your grandparents lived where?
They lived in Dallas.
Okay. Well, that's something. That's something.
I like Dallas. Dallas downtown's a really neat
cool.
square, and we're going to be doing
Dallas is
some
great
stuff over there. So
okay, I better stop. That's terrific. So kudos to you for bringing it, and kudos to Downstairs Ice Cream. So
yeah, I look forward to episode 288, where I'll bring the next round over.
That's right, and Rachel will be actually behind the mic at that point.
Perfect.
Running I'll be running the board, and you'll be actually doing the interviewing. All right, you know what? This is doing something different. I love this because that's really good. And so, a couple questions that we'll get back to because we got distracted with the ice cream, which is not a bad distraction.
Absolutely.
But remembering, I'm gonna ask you 2 questions that we asked you way back in episode 9, probably. The first one is, and you've probably already shared a lot of reasons already, but remembering this is a podcast about why Gaston County is such a great place, and besides Downstairs Ice Cream, and besides the GBA, why would you say Gaston County is such a great place?
It's time. It's happened finally. It's almost like we've done it. We've got it. We've caught. The dog has caught the mailman, and then the question is, and now what? So just driving through, seeing the excitement, seeing the energy, seeing where we were and where we want to be. Now, there's always room for improvement. I get that. But the fact that even the first Whataburger in North Carolina is in Gastonia, and there were 90 cars that first day is amazing. And it's stuff that people are proud of and proud to be a part of. And it's exciting that we're still able to make those impact, to do those things, that the city really literally gives me the key to the kiosks, which are those just the little marketing boards, and we can put what we feel is best for our residents out there, and that we get to be a part of. And that's the exciting thing with meeting, especially with these younger professionals that have the ideas, and the answer is yes.
Yeah, something simple. I know I was married in 1996. What year were you born?
I was in the 1900s.
2003. Holy moly. So anyway, where I was going to go before I was just crushed by that statement is, you know what? Compared to 1996, as an example, just restaurants as an example.
Sure.
Gastonia, Mount Holly, Belmont, Stanley, Bessemer City, wherever, Dallas, what you mentioned earlier. You can pretty much get, and they're also, it's not some chain restaurants only, right?
Yep.
It's locally owned places that we can go. And just last past weekend we went to my wife and I went to a place we had not been before in Mount Holly. It was great.
Yes.
So that's just one simple example. And that I say that because that one might be something that's more visual. Somebody's been here a while can remember that. And so I appreciate that. Appreciate you saying that. And so the next question, big question that we asked back in 4 years ago was one of my favorite questions, and we still ask it, is knowing what you know now, Steve, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
I'd love to go back on the recording. Can we just stop and listen to what I said, and then
we can't go back to episode 9. We might do a fact check to see if it's
I have no idea what I said at that point, but
I don't either. I should have went back and listened, but I didn't.
I've changed my answer. If I had the opportunity to give myself advice at 20 years old, I would not do it. When I was 20, I had some stressful times, some health issues, some concerns. And if I would have told myself, hey, settle down, sit back, relax. I missed a year of school. I'd rarely ever tell this story, but I had to leave college for an entire year during my junior year. If I didn't do that, then I never would have reconnected with the YMCA, because I stepped back there and I interned and I worked a summer over there, and then I worked a resident camp. I never would have spent one more year of college. I never would have met my wife.
Oh, wow, yeah.
If I didn't meet my wife there, I never would have had the opportunity to be in Gaston County. So I'd be afraid now to go back when I was 20 and say a single word, because I wouldn't be who I am and what I'm doing and as blessed as I am because of the decisions that I've made and the advice I've taken or not taken and the role I've been. So I don't think I wouldn't mess with the butterfly effect.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because also when you're 20, we have no perspective on anything, or at least I didn't. And you're not quite as old as I am, but you're old enough with 3 kids, marriage, community, work, enough professional career that you can look back and say, wow, if that hadn't happened. Sometimes one of my mentors is a gentleman named Mark Madison, and one of his big things is, whatever situation you're in, ask the question, how do you know it's bad? When I was 20, everything was bad that happened. It seemed like, but now I might be able to ask that question, because another one he says is, that I've learned from him, is this too shall pass, good and bad. Right.
And maybe it's not even the advice for me as a 20-year-old. It's advice to 20-year-olds, because we work with younger guys in F3.
Yeah.
And that's a different story.
But I wouldn't have taken it. You know what? When I was 20, I probably wouldn't have taken it anyway.
Yep. Yeah, and they may not.
I wouldn't have listened.
No. But I see them and me in a lot of ways, and some advice you can try to give, and some advice isn't. It's where it is. Yep.
On a similar note, I mean, somebody stand out for you who's made a big impact on you?
Yeah. He still made the impact on me. I don't connect with him nearly as much, but Tony Sigmund was our CEO at the Y. Wonderful man, wonderful leader. Learned a lot, learned what to do, learned sometimes what not to do. And I think sometimes, and he knew that as well, but he just showed passion in this community, passion with his organization, passion for just the people that were around him, that I took it in each and every day for those 16, 17 years at the Y, and I need to reach out to him. Hopefully I'll just send him this instead.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Go from there, because he's moved on to other roles out there, but he made such an impact on me during my professional career that he still deserves a lot of praise.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I've known Tony for a long time as well, and since moved away, haven't kept in contact with him as much either. So, dude, this has been great. Last words, share how to get in touch with you, the GBA, find out more information about what's happening in our community. Just kind of share anything and everything you can there before we kind of land the plane on this one.
GastonBusiness.com is where you'll find everything that's going on in our GBA world. The Facebook page, A Positive Change for Downtown Gastonia. We're hoping to change that name soon, so you never know where it's going to be. But we run a newsletter every 2 weeks with that organization. You'll find me at Alchemy a lot. My second office is right there at the Wandering Cup. My main office is across the street from the ballpark. And at any point, reach out, 704-678-2976. Same personal number I've had since 2001. And
wow,
always happy to connect and
Well, listen,
be a part of it.
Steve, I appreciate that. I know with our interactions over the years, getting to know your family a little bit, also the last few years, I appreciate you and what you do for the community. I know you as a genuine person and somebody who cares about the community. And listen, our community is better off because you and your family are here. And so that's really what it's all about for us and why we have people like you on the podcast to talk about that.
Well, having this podcast has been such an amazing thing for this community. I hope for another 150 episodes plus, and that's something there that
I'm shocked.
Really should tip
if you
your
told
hat
me
to.
at episode 9 when you were here the first time that whatever today is, what's today, June 12th, 2025, we would still be doing this, and be like, nah. I was happy we got to 10 episodes, and here we are 140 later, and we have the best producer on the planet as well.
It's a great
that-
example of discipline.
That
instead
doesn't
of
like
just
ice cream.
motivation. Yeah, no, we'll work down that.
You don't like ice cream, or oh, but not when somebody brings free ice cream. Oh, well, it's not all fruit. Some of it had bourbon in it, apparently.
Yeah. I'll bring non-fruit in 4 years from now. So
Okay.
there you have it. Mark it.
All right. So, as I normally do, I'm going to finish up with my own little quote. I got so many quotes and books, and so I used to do a book and a quote, but after 157 episodes, I'm running out of stuff to share, Steve. But one of my quotes, and I didn't actually pick this one on purpose, but I consider you somebody that's kind of prepared, and you were prepared today, which I appreciate that. But I love this quote from Abraham Lincoln on preparation. He said, "Give me 6 hours to cut down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe." I like that because I know in the world, it seems like the world we live in, we're so fast paced. I think too many times I do things without slowing down to put the prep work in, right? Let's just go do it. And sometimes that works, but sometimes it doesn't. And so I just love that concept and quote of still a 6-hour job, but it was easier potentially when you can think about that. So any last words, Steve, before we close this episode out?
In the wise words of many men, I.
Thank you. Oh, that's really good. All you F3 guys out there will know exactly what Steve means when he says that. Or should I say what Hunchbacks means when he says that.
Thank you, Stroganoff.
Absolutely. So, to our listeners out there, thanks so much for listening to today's episode. And please continue to spread the word if you can about the podcast. And please contact us here at our email address, which is podcast@gastonsgreat.com. We continue to look for suggestions for podcast topics and guests. You can find the podcast and subscribe at the website, gastonsgreat.com, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And please follow us on all our social media platforms. And as Rachel always says, a good 5-star rating gets us noticed. Right, Rachel? Okay, thank you. Big thanks to Steve for being our guest today. Gaston's Great is produced and brought to you by Rachel Cowart from GSM Services. I'm your host, Steve Malone. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and please keep coming back to hear more reasons why Gaston's great.